Wars can be waged both on and off the battlefield. Today we'll leave the tank talk on the battlefield and focus on the ways words can win the minds of unsuspecting targets. We're talking propaganda. This mind-bending strategy was put to its most evil and highest use probably by Hitler. To explore the impact of words of mass destruction, you can visit the latest exhibit at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage. It's called State of Deception, The Power of Nazi Propaganda. Mark Davidson, manager of school and family programs at the museum, is here with a preview. So welcome to the show. Now before we get into the exhibit and some of what's going on there, I want to make sure we understand the definition. So what is propaganda?
At its simplest level, propaganda is highly biased information that's specifically designed to impact public opinion, to try to change people's attitudes and behaviors and beliefs.
Okay. It can be good, like advertising, maybe, but it can be very bad as well.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, and unfortunately Hitler and the Nazis used it for evil, for the bad side of things, and they were experts at it. So, who were his role models in getting this propaganda out?
Well, it was a growing field, if you will, at the time. I mean, there were new discoveries being made in psychology and social psychology, how to move mass opinion. People were studying it formally for the first time. There were new frontiers in advertising, from the kind of printing people could do. Bottom line, the kind of glossy magazines we're used to today did not exist at one time. So all of a sudden you can make very beautiful imagery with multicolored inks and things like that. So.
Did he learn it from his rivals as well, what they were doing on the other side?
Sure, sure. I mean, for example, Hitler's probably greatest enemy other than the Jewish people was the Communist Party and the Communist government of the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union were masters at this. They used the most advanced modern and contemporary art to promote what they believed in. And he copied a lot of those ideas.
Yeah. So how did he do it?
Well, basically they used, not unlike today, where any organization will use whatever media it has to access the public and get its message across. And they did the same thing. They did it a lot earlier and much more systematically than most of their rivals. They, when hardly anyone had television sets, they were already producing television shows.
Really?
They, you may remember LPs. You know, our guests will, our viewers will remember. And I remember picture discs when they came out in the 70s. But the Nazis were making picture discs of Hitler's speeches in the 1920s.
Okay. So what were they promoting? How were they making people's minds changed?
Basically, they were promoting two things. On one hand, they were trying they were attacking and denigrating and trying to destroy who they felt were enemies to the German people.
What were the groups that were the enemies?
Primarily Jews and their political opponents, socialists and communists and liberals. The Roma and Sinti people, what we often call gypsies, but they call themselves Roma and Sinti. Homosexuals were often targeted, modern artists.
Wow.
You name it. Many.
Anybody different than what the image that they were portraying. So, okay. But all of that is promoting hatred. How did people not see through that?
Well, people, unfortunately, were often in a hateful mood in the 1920s and 1930s. There was a lot of poverty. There was the threat of building violence. Everyone kind of saw that war was going to be coming. People were very angry. The German nation and people had been under, since they lost World War I, the peace treaty they signed forced them to pay massive war reparations to other the Allied powers. And Germany was in huge inflation, had a horrible economy, and people were looking for enemies. People were looking for someone to blame. And Jews were a very small part of the...
and Hitler just built on all of that fear and pain and upset. So, wow. So we all know the saying, those who don't know the past are doomed to repeat it. Learn about this very important part of history to help it from happening again. State of Deception, The Power of Nazi Propaganda has just opened and continues at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage through mid-March. My thanks to Mark for giving us a propagandalist preview today.
Find out more by calling the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage at 216-593-0575 or visit their website www.maltzmuseum.org. Next, one more reason to be thankful.